All right, we're back live, just checking the connections, checking sound. If you guys can hear me, for those of you who are joining now, welcome first of all. It's been a long time coming. We have taken quite a break from the live, but we're back with regular programming now, and we're doing a young aviation professionals session. If you can hear me, just let me know, please. Gary, big up. Just let me know in the comments if you can hear me, if you can see me, if everything is fine. I see persons joining. Richie, big up. Perfect. Somebody says we are hearing. We can hear. All right. So getting straight into it. So welcome again, everyone. Those who don't know, my name is Samuel Neal, founder and the current president of the Aviation Club of Jamaica, and we did this live interview back in COVID, where of course COVID was had a negative impact on everybody, but we found it also presented an opportunity to connect with fellow aviation professionals out there, as you know, as close as Jamaica, as far out as the Mid East, and we were able to talk to them, listen to their journey to where, you know, from an aviation enthusiast all the way up to aviation professionals. We would have noticed that while some stories may be similar, some were different. Everybody had a different story to tell on how they got to where they are now. But and then somewhere in between, we had taken a break from doing the live. We were focusing on our core, which is the students, the club members of the Aviation Club of Jamaica. We were focused on rebuilding, you know, getting back to the face-to-face environment and rebuilding the club from where it was, or back to where it was pre-COVID. And now that we're bringing back the live, we decided to do it from a different angle. Now, a lot of persons don't know that there are quite a number of aviation professionals who are very young. They are under 30 years old, who are out there doing extremely well. Those who were a part of this club as well. And one of whom we will be talking to today, his name is Chad Spencer. He was a part of the club at Meadowbrook High School, very young. Back then, I left Meadowbrook before him. But funny enough, he is a first officer with an airline in the United States today and is seemingly doing pretty well. He also went to Florida Tech, studied there. I'm not 100% sure what he studied there other than flying, but we will figure that out, all of that out today. So just waiting to see Chad, and then we will get started. But thank you to everybody who is here today. I know it's been a while, but many thanks to everyone for coming out. And just let you know, we'll be doing them maybe two a month, 2 interviews per month. We're still on Instagram today, but we're looking to move up to YouTube eventually. We may be able to accommodate a lot more via YouTube. So just putting that out there. All right, I see Chad joining now. So let's. All right, one sec. Accept. Okay. Chad, what's going on?
Yeah,
Yeah, man, I can hear you.
man,
Can
yes,
you hear
man.
me?
Good. Yeah, man. Good. Everything
Yeah,
good?
man, everything is good, man. It's good to have you.
Thanks,
So,
thanks,
Chad,
thanks.
we're just going to jump straight into it. So, I remember back in the day, you and I went to Meadowbrook High School, of course. You would have been maybe 2 or 3 years below me.
Yeah,
I left in
yeah.
2010. What year did you leave?
About 2013.
2013, so 3 years after. All right.
Yeah.
And
So I finished grade 11 2013, and then I went six
sixth
forms,
form.
and then I leave six form 2015.
Okay, cool. You know, it was just the other day that I went through some photographs and I saw a photograph with you where we were at Tinsinpen, and it was one of those club activities. We went to Tinsinpen and we were flying and all of that, and you were there, and I think it was you and maybe 3 or 4 other persons that were there. But I saw the picture and I'm like, Chad, yeah, Chad went to Meadowbrook, and I started to formulate or remember what the journey would have been like with Chad. Meadowbrook High School, and then, as I said, sixth form, and I'm assuming you went straight to Florida Tech. At Florida Tech, you spent 4 years, of course, studying your degree program, which we'll get into a little bit. You also flew, you became an instructor, and then sometime after transition into the airlines, right? That sounds familiar?
Yeah, about the same. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So my first question to you, Chad, how old are you right now?
26.
26. Nice. 26 and a first officer
Yeah.
in an airline.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good. So Chad, it's nothing that I'm going to be asking you is scripted. This is just like you and I sitting down here, catching up, holding a reason, and pretty much we buck up on each other. And I said, Chad, yo, long time I see you. What you up to now? You're flying no one still, and you tell me yes and stuff. And then I'm more curious to know, as a 26-year-old, as a first officer in an airline, flying the Embraers, paying passengers and all of that. What was the journey like for you from Meadowbrook to where you are now?
All right. So, funny enough, back in Meadowbrook, you were the one that really started my aspiration to be a pilot, because with the aviation club, we normally have clubs on Thursdays,
Yeah.
and I was just like walking around trying to find a club that I could get actively engaged in, and I saw you guys with the Sims and stuff, and then me and one of my close friends, Jeremy, I don't remember Jeremy, we decided like, hey, this is really cool, like, so we started going there on Thursdays. That's where my love for aviation really grew. So you're basically the foundation of my career as it is right now. Then from there, went to sixth form, did CXC, went to sixth form, did Cape, and then I actually applied for UTech after Cape, and I did very well in CXC. Like, I did very well. I got probably 10 ones in CXC, and then I got probably like all ones in Cape. I did very well in and then I applied for UTech, and for some reason I didn't get
Oh,
through.
yeah?
Like, what? Oh,
that's strange.
Yeah, I was like, so I ended up taking a gap year as a result.
Okay.
I'm like, well, UTech don't want me, such as that, because I applied to the pharmacology.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, well, such as that. Then in that gap year, I ran into Versan Institute, which they help you do SATs.
Yeah.
If you want to like go abroad to study. So when I went there, she was like, I think you should probably come back next year, because like at that time she already signed up the students that she was going to send to the SAT exams to go in August. But then she looked at my grades and she's like, you probably chance it with you. Let's just take a risky. So I went into the SATs, got the grades, but surprisingly, you don't even need SAT to go to FIT. You just need a CSET grade. Yeah. So when I was here in FIT, they said they didn't use my SAT grades, but that didn't play as a downfall to me, because once I got to FIT, I was able to transfer a lot of credits from CSEC and CAPE, which played to my advantage. So I ended up doing 3 years of college instead of 4, which helped you to save all that.
Nice.
Once I got to college, I started doing aeronautical science, and then in the second year, someone told me that if you do aviation management, I started in aviation management, and then someone told me if you do aeronautical science, it's qualified as a STEM degree. So STEM degree is like science, technology, engineering, math degree. Yeah. Those degrees, you're eligible for 3 years work experience after you graduate. Any other degree gets you 1 year. So if I did only aviation management, I will get 1 year. But now I think they've changed where management can get you 3 years work experience.
Okay.
So So in sophomore year, I ended up changing, and then I realized I had a lot of free electives. I'm like, I don't know what to do with these free electives. I'm not gonna do. I was thinking of doing something like picking up a piano class. I mean, I was gonna get an easy way, but then I'm like, you know what? I spoke to my I spoke to I spoke to the administrator and I like, hey, probably you should try and do both.
Okay.
Both majors.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing both.
Okay.
Um, which it took a lot of time and effort, but it was achievable.
Yeah.
Now doing what got me here, before I even got here, what got me here was I applied, but then I looked on the tuition. I had this tuition was expensive. Sure. So then I was like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna go to that year. UWI then opened their pharmacology program.
Okay.
So I applied to that. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go for this instead. And then I applied for NCB scholarship. Okay. And then they're like, okay, probably should do this.
Yeah. And
then I looked on the funds, and then they said I needed a co-signer to get the student loan, which I didn't have anyone at that point. So I told my mom, like, hey, you know what? I was gonna go to UWI and do pharmacology. It's still a great career. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Yeah. And then she's like, we're gonna find a way to like get you to chase your dream. This is what you want. And then I was stubborn. I'm like, yo, mommy, no, I'm not gonna start my life in any depth as a youngster. I'm not doing it.
True.
I'm going to UWI. And she's like, she just gave me a little time. She didn't say much about it. And then I used to play football in Jamaica. I used to play soccer in Jamaica. Yeah. And football, not soccer. I used to play football, yeah, man. And and then a little bit before I had a little incident, right? And I had to I had a little incident where my face was a little swollen, so I had to go to the doctor and stuff. And then when I checked it, I was losing some blood. But when I saw the blood, I fainted, and my mom is like, "See, that's the confirmation. You can't go in. You can't go in medicine. Yeah, just find something else." So I went ahead, and then my aunt, who I haven't spoken to for a while, she just decided, "Hey, I'll take the risk of you co-sign a student loan if you decide you're gonna go ahead and put in the work." Yeah. Came here freshman year. That was my first time flying. It was a very rough experience firstly because they lost my bag. And in the first week of school, I didn't have any bags. I'm like, what? Yeah. So it's a bit stressing at that point. I'm like, this is really what I signed up for. Then I was raised in a household with majority females. My grandma, my aunt, my cousin, and my mom. So I did not cook, clean, none of them. Yeah. Right? So I come into a place now where I have to like try and figure these things out. Yeah. So I'm like, all right. So it took a little bit to adjust to the environment. So eventually I'm like, all right, I'm here, let's trying to do the best of it. So I started focusing on my grades, trying to do the degree evaluation to see what courses I need to take when, or what would play out best to my advantage. Yeah. So that being said, I started realizing that, hey, I have a lot of electives. So if I work hard enough and you transfer those credits, then I'll be able to graduate earlier. So that's what I did. It took a lot of effort. So I'll try to take max credits. Now you're required to take probably like 12 to keep your international status as an F1 student. I took probably like 20 each semester because I try to blend it where I have some easy subjects, some hard subjects. So balance it. Prioritize, yeah. And then so my journey took a lot of time management because I'm like, all right, I'm trying to do my best to really conserve where I can and get there in a manner. Because when we get here, 26 might sound young to us,
Yeah.
but I promise you, there's kids out there that's probably like 22 sharing the same
Story.
job with me,
Yeah.
because they don't do that six form thing that like us. So just go from high school
Straight into
to college.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then they're probably exposed to flying much more earlier than we probably
True.
have in
Yeah.
Jamaica. They have
Definitely
more
true.
access to flying and
Yeah.
stuff. So during college, I applied for to be an RA. It's a resident assistant where you're basically in charge of the dorms, help to facilitate with housing, and a benefit of that is you get free housing.
Okay.
And you get free meal plan. So you have to purchase your
Yeah.
own food, which helps you to save a lot.
Yeah.
With my CSET grades also, I got as much scholarship as I could.
Yeah.
That I was eligible for. So that kind of helped to offset
The cost.
some of the funds
Mhm.
also. So that was pretty much college. I did I did RA. I worked at the gym. I worked in the Performing Arts Center as a audiovisual technician. Because I went to church in Jamaica. I was a drummer. So
Yeah.
I was a drummer for church. I used to work in the music room. So that was the easy transition I did. It basically the same thing I'm doing in the audiovisual technician thing.
Okay.
So I had probably like 3 jobs doing 20 credits and flight. So it was
Wow.
it took a
So
lot of time.
so you went to school, you did the maximum amount of credits that you could have been doing. Then on the side you were doing the extracurricular activities. As you said, you were in church, you still participated in church and drumming, or as you said, doing the audio videos. And you are also, in a sense, technically working as an RA, resident assistant, to help offset the cost of having somewhere to stay on campus, as well as food. And so to me, and I'm sure there are others, that is in itself a lot, because remember, we don't start talking about the flying yet. This is just school on campus activities. So how did you manage all of that? What kind of time management strategy did you implement to do all of that, to take care of all of that?
So as far as time management strategies, basically it's basically determination at that point. It's like set a goal and try to stay with it, because like, and there's one thing there's one statement that was really striking to me that helped me to push that. I had a really good first instructor, which that's premise is very good. You need if you get a good instructor at the start, pretty good. I had a pretty good instructor, which he related to me on a personal level. Like he will make sure that my needs are met, not only in just flying. Right? Yeah. He'll see, for example, if I miss the bus to get to the airport, he's not gonna just say, okay, you missed the schedule. He'll just pay the consequences. Because if you miss, they're very structured. If you miss, you get something called no show, where you have to pay for the time. They're training us. They're training us to be professional.
Yeah, for the airlines. Yeah.
So So if I miss, he's like, hey, what? He's gonna call me like, hey, what happened? I'm like, no, I didn't catch it. I didn't catch the bus to get to the airport. And he's like, hey, send me address. I'll come for you. That's how caring was.
Nice.
And then I had a cohort. We had a partner that we study with and fly with.
Yeah.
To like offset the cost of instructor. So my cohort was a little more financially stable. Well, a lot more financially stable.
Yeah.
And there was one I could fly, but there was one part I was just not reading enough. And then he's like, yo, Chad, tell me about yourself. Like, tell me about basically what I'm telling you guys right now. Like, tell me about your background, tell me about yourself and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he's like, so that's why I told him, hey, this is our finance school, blah, blah, blah. I was like, to be honest, if you're gonna pay that off, you need to get to a point where you can pay it off.
Okay.
So that was kind of statement that helped me to propel my drive to being focused and keep it going.
Okay. Sounds good.
So with that being said, I just kind of try and manage my time a lot and try to stick to it, because we're at that point we're young, we're fruitful, we have a lot of energy. That's when you really wanna
Push yourself.
use it.
Yeah.
That being said, it's still college. You don't want to just get something just schoolwork. You still want to have a social life. You want to have friends.
Yeah.
So time management was a big factor in my thing.
Okay.
Another thing too is just trying to be consistent with your studies, because like when you fail a flight course, you're gonna have to do it again. You're gonna have to pay for it again. So if you can be successful in it, probably two chances the max. That's good for your finances, because if you keep repeating, you're the one paying and paying.
Yeah.
So I had really good instructors. That instructor's name was Josh. Then from Josh I went to Justin Hamilton, which we're pretty familiar with.
Yeah.
And then Justin is Jamaican, but Justin Justin deal with me like the real way,
Yeah, because now you're
sugar
paired up
coat.
with a yard man.
Yeah, he did sugarcoat it. Like if I mess up, like Justin full of attitude, if I mess up and giving me the look like, boy, what is that? What you doing? You get me?
Yeah.
So Josh kind of pushed me to stay on par with what the curriculum requires.
Yeah.
And then if he sees that I can go above it, he will push me to go above it. So like a typical student will take probably a year or so to finish flight one, which is a private. And then there's exception, because sometimes it's scheduling their classes, weather, whatever happens, it might take a little longer. Yeah. So we have like flight one for first year, flight 2, 3, 4, up to graduation. That's the kind of schedule. But then he finished me flight one by first semester and like half of the second semester. So going to my second year, freshman year now, I'm done with. I am a private at that point. And then we had probably like 3 weeks left before summer vacation. It's like probably do. I'm probably gonna do flight 2 next semester. And it's like, no, you're doing flight 2 in this 2 weeks. So we finished it off. We did all the cross country. Finished it off. The day before, I had a flight. Say I had a flight the 6th, and then the 5th, I took my stage check for the. I finished my last course, and then the morning of my flight, I took my stage check. Then I ran to Ireland and came home. And then my stage check examiner was also a Jamaican pilot. He was a chief pilot at that point. And then I came back. I got Justin. Justin was my instrument and commercial instructor.
Okay.
Yeah, and Justin finished my instrument in a couple months, probably like 3-4 months.
Nice.
Because Justin was just not having it. I feel like his expectation of me was high, and then knowing that he's Jamaican, I feel like I don't want this man shame me, you get me? Because I know Justin will shame me. So I try to put in the work, because I'm like, I feel like Justin has this expectation of me. I'm gonna try and live up to it. So we were able to do it in like 3-4 months. We jumped straight into flight 4. So now I'm just in sophomore year, and I'm at the last portion of
moving pretty quick.
Yeah. Now then I bucked up on a stumble where I didn't. So because I'm going that fast, so how they disperse the student loan, they disperse it each semester. So now I'm moving way ahead of the curve now. So then by the time I get to second year, second semester of sophomore year, I don't have the finances that I need to continue flying, because I'm not gonna get that until junior year, so to say, because they're not gonna disperse it at that point.
So this
So I
point
ended up
you're
taking,
ahead of time, if I'm understanding correctly, because
yeah,
you were progressing faster than you expected. You're now ahead of time, and in order
yeah,
to continue, you still would need some money. But
yeah,
because of how the student loan system is set up, they would only
yeah,
give you the money for the following semester. You didn't have anything else
yeah,
to keep going. Okay, fair enough.
yeah. So I ended up taking about a 6 month break, waiting for them to send the next disbursement.
Yeah.
Um, Once I got back in, it was the same thing.
Mhm.
Just it's me against myself. I'm just trying to get
Yeah.
this done because one there was a lot of Caribbean guys that I looked up
Yeah.
to in school. There was Justin, there was Anthony, there was Dylan. These Caribbean guys,
Mhm.
they were they were so efficient in how they went about it, and their relationship with each other
Sure.
were, these guys were like CFIs before they even graduated. They were like CFIs in their junior year.
Yeah.
So that was my aim. I'm like, these guys can do it.
You want to do that?
I'm gonna try and do this. So it's just finding good role models to look up to and try to
Pretty much.
communicate with to see how did they
Mhm.
achieve this goal.
And that's
Um,
key, because throughout your journey so far through Florida Tech, you have had one of the reasons why you got to where you are, because you had good people around you. You know, you had
you had
instructors.
good people, and I had people that
Mhm.
lasted because like one when I was when I was instructor, the biggest downfall to some students not being successful is the rate at which you were losing instructors.
The high
So
turnover.
they will have an
Yeah.
instructor, and then that instructor leaves. You have to get another instructor, which
Yeah.
is going to want to reteach, and so
Sure. Yeah.
that was a problem. So I pretty much had probably like three instructors throughout my training, which helped a lot because the consistency, get to build that relationship,
Sure.
the understanding, and that worked out for me. So once I started flying again, I was just I was just I was just doing it. I was going back at it. Um, and then I took another summer break. They had an academy. They had a
Hmm.
CFI academy,
Hmm.
but then I didn't do a part of it because I took that summer off
Yeah.
to work, get some more finances. Now I know that I'm gonna be graduating in the next year. I
Hmm.
need to start looking and probably saving to live somewhere to get a vehicle to
Yeah.
get up and drive to
Yeah.
work. So I took that summer off and I just tried to work. Once I
Okay.
got back in, it was back to the grind. Um, then I did the CFI. I did CFI my last semester of
Yeah.
college, and then I graduated. And then once I graduated, I applied for my OPT. That's where my work permit now after graduation.
Okay.
And then the minute I got accepted, that's when COVID hit. So
Oh wow.
I got
Yeah.
accepted in the March,
Hmm.
and then COVID hit. So then the school shut down. So like, there's nothing there's nothing I
Yeah.
can
It's
do
out
about it at that
of
point.
control.
So I was
Yeah.
just, yeah. So I was just home chilling for probably another seven
Yeah.
months. During that time, I because you have to keep employment to keep your OPT
Hmm.
status active. You can't be unemployed for X
Time.
amount of
Yeah.
days. I think it's like 150 or something
Yeah.
like that. So then I applied to be an aircraft fielder at the Melbourne International Airport,
Okay.
which it was pretty tedious because I'm a very small person. I'm a very small
The
person, and there's
pose
was really
heavy, and yeah.
heavy,
Yeah. I know.
heavy, yeah. And then you have to work through rain and
Yeah.
sunshine, and
Yeah.
yeah. So it was a bit tedious, but even then, I still push through because I'm like, every aircraft I'm shooting, I'm like, hey, it's gonna be me
Hmm.
one day. Like, you have to like mentally motivate myself. Like,
Yeah.
hey, this gonna be me one day. Let's keep doing it. Then once I got called back to FRT, like, hey, you should come back to where we're gonna slowly start reopening back school now.
Yeah.
She come back, and then I went back. But when I went back, I still didn't quit fueling because like this person really helped me out in a
Yeah,
time where no one was really hiring.
yeah.
I needed
I
a job, so
understand.
I didn't.
You don't want to
Yeah,
just leave them
I didn't
high and
quit.
dry.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I tried to. I tried to speak with the guy with the guy that hired me. Like, hey, I can probably go on a part-time basis. I work this day and
Mm-hmm.
this day. I work 12 hours for this day. Like I work all day for these 2 days.
Yeah,
But I need these days to
school
focus on
and stuff.
my my finance
Yeah.
stuff. And he was cool with it. Um, so I did that, and then till eventually I started getting too much serious, like too much serious. Like
Mhm.
a couple months after, I'm like, all right, I probably can't. I probably
Yeah.
can't do that. Which what I did, I realized the demand for someone for the job. So I recommended a fellow Jamaican to get the
To fill
job
your
that
spot.
was in
That's good.
upcoming.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, man, this guy will do it.
Mm.
And he did the same thing. He did the job until he can get a flight instructor
Sure.
job.
Yeah.
Then he recommended
And
another
kept the chain
our
going.
friend that was
Yeah.
so we
That's
kept
good.
the chain
Good.
going. So that's pretty much like job security right there for a little clique coming up.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Once I got into flight instructing, uh, uh, I worked as much as I can. Sometimes I'm at the airport from like probably like 7 to probably like 10.
Wow.
But only do my legal hours of
Flying. Yeah.
flying. But
The
like
rest on the ground.
grounds,
Mm.
sims, I'll do those throughout the day.
Nice.
I did my double I, which kind of helped out also. You'll find that a lot of people don't like doing double I because you basically get less flight hours
Mm-hmm.
because of the amount of sims and ground you have to do
Mm-hmm.
teaching a double I
Mm-hmm.
student. So you get less flight hours versus someone who's just a CFI.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as I said, it's just making whatever work for you. Double I gets paid more. As a double I, you're gonna get more advanced students.
Mm-hmm.
So it's making what if the weather is bad, you have options. You can still keep the consistency with your pay
Yeah.
slip coming in because you have a sim you have a ground you can sim. If the weather is bad and you have to fly, you can pick up IFR with those students. You can go out and
Go.
get your job done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Give them real time experience. Um,
So, question for you, Chad. So, I know based on your story so far, you went through university, no issues academically. And now we're moving into the flying, where you're telling the story of you starting out flying. You got your work permit. Unfortunately, COVID hit within that time. And then you were working as an aircraft refueler. Then you transitioned back into the flying, seeing that things started to pick up and it picked up very rapidly as a flight instructor. Now, I know in present day, for those who want to become pilots, the route is usually go to flight school, get your private, your instrument, your commercial, and your multi, right? And then they advise that, okay, you need your 1,500 hours to be able to get to the airline or be eligible for the ATP that you'd need for the airline. And the way to do that, or the recommended way, is to become an instructor. Now, my question to you is, what was life like as an instructor? Because I feel like being an instructor should be more than just taking that route to build hours. As you would say, there was a high turnover rate at FIT, where as soon as somebody got 1,500 hours, they gone to the airlines, which is a common thing in the United States. What would you what would you say to that? Would you say it is still the best route to go, um, or is it something that persons should do if they have a passion for teaching, or if they have a knack for becoming an instructor?
I personally think it's a cheapest route
Mm-hmm.
to go, probably the most accessible one. But if you don't have the passion for it, I wouldn't recommend it because like you have to realize that you're the pipeline to future aviators
Yeah.
at that point. So you don't want to get hyper focused on yourself getting your hours,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not teaching this person
Properly.
this person
Yeah.
properly.
Yeah.
So flight instructing for me, it was I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I had a lot of trouble with kids. I got some of the kids that nobody wanted to work with because I think I'm pretty
Yeah.
patient, and
Yeah. I'm
being
sure.
Caribbean, they're like he's probably a little more rough around the edges
Aggressive. Yeah.
being a Caribbean person,
Yeah.
which was never the case.
Okay.
I was not aggressive with my students.
Yeah.
What I did with my students, so I build good student instructor relationship.
Relationships. Yeah.
From day one, I try to relate to them as much as I can. I try to see what their learning pattern is
Mm-hmm.
and how can I better myself
Help them.
to get through to them.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes if there is a particular area where I just realize that I can't get through to the student, I try and see who's the next best alternative that could get them through
Gotcha.
this lesson rather than I keep wasting their time and money on a specific thing. So I feel like once I could, I mean I got a few students that nobody wanted to
Yeah.
do, like nobody wanted to take it. And then what I did though, I tried to like understand like them as a person.
Yeah.
There was this one Saudi Arabian student that he was
You said Saudi
it
Arabia?
was crossed out from it was crossed out from everyone's list. Everyone, nobody wants to work with this guy because he was very pushy. Like he was very pushy in his demeanor. He didn't want to. He would backtalk to his instructors like, "Hey, you get me?
Okay.
You know I don't work for us. We don't do the backtalk thing in Jamaica." You know?
Yeah.
So I realized he
True.
had an interest in football. He had an interest in football. So before I'll talk to him about if you know the Saudi Arabians they love Real Madrid. I'm a Real Madrid fan,
Mm-hmm.
so that was good. That was good for us. Sometime I'll text him like, "Hey, you up?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, I'm just chilling." And like, you have homework?" He's like, "Nah, I finished them already." He's like, hey, you wanna play FIFA online or something?" I'm like, if you beat me, XYZ, right? Just like challenge. If you beat me, if you beat me, you'll get to go to this airport rather than I'll try and get us approved to go to this airport
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
you get me?
Yeah.
Like, if you beat me if you beat me by 5 goals, we fly to Kiros. That's that. So
Yeah, try to get through to
up. Yeah, and then there was another one which sometimes we'll go for like smoothies. We'll
Nice.
talk. We'll just try to understand like them as a person.
Yeah.
Now at that point, it makes their learning experience and my teaching experience much easier because now they're not viewing me only as an instructor. Now they're viewing me as someone they can really relate to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the understanding and the expectation is way better, which
Sure.
yields better product because they don't feel intimidated that this person is hovering over them. Now if they mess up in a lesson, I don't feel like this cold in my head. This like they can tell from my demeanor that hey,
Something is up.
I'm disappointed,
Yeah.
child. I need to fix them, and then I can be like, bro, that was not it.
Mm-hmm.
You get me?
Yeah.
Rather than saying being aggressive or not aggressive, but like put it in a way where they feel like they're under this bug where you have to do everything right.
Yeah.
Because it's not a perfect world. I struggle as a student in some areas also, and so it's just being patient and understanding. That's what helped me to get to instructing also.
Good.
And knowing my students on a personal level helped me to know the students' capability. And then every student I had, so the students had flight blocks. They had flight blocks. All my students fly within and outside of the flight blocks because once I'm asking them I'm telling them to send me a screenshot of your class assignment and whatever else you have engagement you have on school.
Yeah.
So that we can maximize your time
Sure.
as best as possible. And then all my students, I know their capabilities. So what I did, if it's possible where I can put the students that are struggling the most at the start of my day, I will, because I'm more equipped, I'm fresh,
Yeah,
I'm going.
that's good.
My
That's
energy
nice.
is at the highest. And then my student, I had some students that were really sharp. They're going last. They're going
Yeah,
back student. And he's like, why you call me back student? He's like, because when I'm flying you,
rock
I
back,
can leave
can
at my
chill.
turn.
Yeah, yeah,
I know that you're pretty
yeah. Yeah.
competent. So that's what helps you get
Okay,
to instructing.
nice.
It's tedious, but if you find ways to make it enjoyable,
Yeah, then it can be
and then it can be something where
nice.
you and the student can both positively
Yeah.
benefit. Don't watch. I racked up my hours without realizing I had the hours, because I was not focusing on
Building hours.
the
Yeah,
hours. I was focusing. There's this pride and accomplishment that you get when you student
it's
go
successful.
and take a check ride and it's successful,
Nice.
or you see this person that could not land an aircraft
No landing.
take on
Yeah,
a nice craftsman by them, and you're like,
yeah,
well, this
yeah.
person is really doing it.
Nice. So how long were you an instructor for? How long did you spend as an instructor?
Probably probably like a year and a half.
Nice.
Probably like a year and probably like a year and a couple months.
And then you transition into the airlines after that?
Yep. So what helped me also was just doing research, going to the job fair. So I went to career fair, and then I was always getting these pamphlets from the different regionals, seeing what they're about, reading up about them, and then I realized that Skywest, there's a few like Skywest Air Wisconsin and stuff that they will accept us on our OPT.
Nice.
So and then you don't need to be a citizen, you don't need to be a resident or whatever to be a candidate for the region, to be a cadet for the region.
Wow. Okay.
So I applied as a cadet for those regionals.
Yeah.
Just to get insight for like how they go about stuff. They keep track of your hours. You can get a mentor. You can get interview prep.
Yeah.
And those stuff. So that's what I did. I was a Skywest cadet.
Okay.
So by the time I got my hours, my mentor, she was like, hey, my mentor, her name was Alisa. She's like, hey, you need to send in your application.
So hold on a second, Chad. That's very interesting, and that might pose some very useful information for persons here. So you, at the time, were never a citizen of the United States. You were not a permanent resident. You applied for an OPT, which in layman terms is a work permit. And on that work permit is what you were able to use while at FIT to work as a fueler, aircraft refueler. But then it also assisted you in getting into SkyWest, because SkyWest was an airline that took persons that had a work permit in the United States. It didn't have to be a resident. It didn't have to be a citizen. And that is how you started at SkyWest.
Yep.
Okay.
So once you're eligible, once you can prove that you're eligible to work,
sure,
they will take it. If you have sufficient, guarantee if you have sufficient time, because if you have probably like 6 months left, it's probably a little question, because by the time you finish training, then you're not going to be a product for them to go on the line to fly.
Understood.
So yeah, that's what really helped out. So
nice.
So once I submitted my interview, my application, I did the interview. I mean, I'm not saying this just because this is the airline I applied for, but being in the industry, the Skywest interview and training is the most rigorous out there. They really drill you. I have friends that they interview for like Endeavor and those stuff. They probably interview like 45 minutes and they get a class A.
Wow. Okay.
My interview was 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Really?
It it was long.
Okay.
And then they called me back. They offered me the CRJ initially. I started on the CRJ initially, but then I transitioned to the ERJ once I got
That was
into training.
by choice, or they had transferred?
Yeah, that was by choice.
Okay, so
That was by choice.
why you choose the ERJ over the CRJ?
So initially, I chose the CRJ to get an earlier class date because like once you're successful, they ask you, hey, what aircraft do you want to fly?
Okay.
And I initially said the ERJ, right? Because it's a pretty sophisticated aircraft in comparison to the CRJ. And then she said, all right, if you get an ERJ, we'll give you May class date. If you get the CRJ, we'll give you a March class date. So I'm like, let's wait for this aircraft. And then I spoke to a guy that worked there before, and he's like, bro, just get in. Like,
it doesn't matter. Jet is a jet. Absolutely.
Yeah, a jet is a jet. Just take it. So I went with the CRJ initially. Finished index, started ground school, and then we had a break.
Okay.
And then this is where doing your research really comes into play. Yeah. So we had a break from ground school, and then I was reading the forums. So there are forums online where people ask questions and people answer. And then I was realizing that after taking a ride, it's taken up to like 6 months to get the flight to your IOE for the ERJ, for the CRJ. So and then the ERJ guys were saying that they're pretty much
quicker,
taking like a month. Yeah. I'm like, So I emailed my advisor, and I'm like, hey, Alice, I think it was possible for me to switch to the, and she said, yeah, you haven't started Sims or whatever. Just you learn all the flows and stuff for the CRJ. It's just gonna be, you're gonna have to relearn everything for the ERJ. And I said, hey, that's fine. Yeah. So I ended up doing that, and then obviously I had friends from the CRJ class, so we kept communication. So they finished their check ride while I was probably still in Sims doing the ERJ. I finished my check ride, and then 2 days after I was out.
Oh yeah.
Doing my flying the line.
Wow. That's quicker than the month that they had said. Yeah.
It was quicker. Quick. So but I was on the line when they were waiting like months, which it changed. So it's good to keep up to date with what's going on in the industry when you're there, because it changes. Like now they're probably like on even terms. They're probably the same. Probably doesn't matter. Next 2 months they probably can get CRJ. Yeah, so it's good to see what your time is demanding.
So what was the transition like? Because I figure at flight school, the biggest thing you would have flown was a Piper Seminole, which is a 2-engine propeller aircraft. But now you're a couple months later, now transitioning to jets. You're now moving from altitudes to flight levels. From 130 knots to 200 plus, possibly even more once you get up to altitude. What was that like, especially, I guess, in the sim, and you have your first takeoff in the right seat, and say, okay, let's do this. What was that experience like in the sim as well as your first day on the job, carrying people there?
At first, it was like overwhelming because everything is going fast. Everything is going so fast, and then you have your flows. You have to try to remember. You have checklists. You have so everything was a little overwhelming at first. But once I had my sim partner. My sim partner also was an international student. He was on the Republic of China and OPT also so that was pretty cool. So what we did, there's access to the sim building. You can't fly the full motion sim, but there's like little simulators that we can play around with. So once you finish, what we did was, let me just put it, interject this in here. Being a cadet helped me also in training.
Okay.
Because being a cadet, I didn't realize my seniority started from I was a cadet.
Okay.
So I was probably the most senior in my
Nice.
class because
Nice.
my seniority started from back then. So
Yeah.
that gave me the opportunity to pick my sim time, my
Okay.
partner, whatever. So
Mhm.
I get to pick first, and then it trickles down. So whoever in the back,
Mhm.
they get whatever's
Yeah.
left, and it's spread out. I did my our training session was in Denver,
Mhm.
and there's people in the back of the class that had to do their sims in Paris.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that yeah, so
Crazy.
that helped me to I picked a good time where I could wake up, get breakfast, walk over, and so that kind of helped.
Yeah.
So what we did is I picked the best time, and then we obviously tried it. So we probably started probably like 10,
Mhm.
get a good
Sure.
sleep, get up, get some breakfast, whatever. Start at 10, we finish probably like 4,
Okay.
then go home, take a nap,
Yeah.
and then me and him will meet up again in the evening,
Sure.
and then we'll go over our floors, we'll go to the sim, we'll
Mhm.
fly a route,
Mhm.
do the call outs, and try to keep each other accountable.
Yeah.
And then in class, you don't want to keep it. I'm a very introverted person,
Mhm.
but once I got into the industry, I
That's a
started
network.
something from then.
Yeah.
I tried to like be more open
Sure.
and try to make network and talk to people because there's gonna be us coming from
Mhm.
flying instructing in class. There's gonna be people coming from different airlines. There's gonna be people
Sure.
coming from military background. So there's a vast area of aviation background
True.
in class. So
Yeah.
if you can get a good mix where you guys can each learn from each other, that's pretty good. So that's what I did. I took my background
Mhm.
and tried to see where it could help another
Sure.
person, and then they did the same for me. So, um, yeah, training was a lot of helping each other, which is what we're gonna do on the line. You're flying the captain, you guys are helping each
True.
other out to get from point A to point
Yeah.
B. You don't
Yeah.
want to be just secluded to yourself. In that's not gonna work for you. If you just lock up in your hotel and no, you need try and socialize
Yeah. Yeah.
with other people. Um, so yeah, that kind of worked out for us. We work together. We met in groups, and then when we meet, we don't only meet to just focus.
Focus.
Sometimes we meet to take break time. We'll go to my first baseball game was in training. I've never been to a baseball game before,
Okay.
but these guys are like, hey, let's go to this baseball game. Like, sure.
Mhm.
We went to the Rocky Mountains. That's my first time. Like, it's pretty nice. So just having downtime. Um, so eventually, with all putting in that work, it became very kind of second nature
Gotcha.
while I was in the sim because I know that hey, this is gonna happen.
Mhm.
Now when I got to the aircraft, now I'm like, oh,
The real
this is the
deal.
this is
Yeah. Yeah.
the real thing. Now my first trip was probably a nightmare. It
Really?
was the worst trip. Yeah, it was the worst trip I've had since flying with Skyways for a year. The worst. So I got to the gate,
Mhm.
and then I went down to the aircraft. It's dark and cold. So I saw the flight attendants, and
Mhm.
then I introduced myself, and then I realized there's no captain. So this is supposed
Oh.
to be my line check airman now. I realized there's nobody.
Yeah.
We're there. It's about boarding. So I went there. I started I did my pre-flight, started the aircraft.
Mhm.
Like I'm not just gonna sit around,
And
even though I'm
wait.
new.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna just sit around and wait, and then this captain shows up to a dark aircraft.
Yeah. You have to take the
Right?
initiative.
Do, I'm gonna try and do something.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm there, started aircraft, got the clearance, got the PDC, I loaded up.
Mhm.
We're there waiting now. Um, so it takes a little bit of confidence
To do.
to be aviator. You will see that a lot of aviators are arrogant,
Mhm.
but it takes a little bit of confidence in the craft to do it.
Yeah.
So I was there. these people don't know it's my first time because I'm not fumbling. I'm not showing that hey I'm not being nervous.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I made it to this point. If a company can be confident in my abilities, why shouldn't I?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? So I'm there. I waited and the company started calling me like, hey, where is
Was the
the
captain?
captain checking? I'm like, no, I haven't seen him again. Now we're like an hour and a half late now. Then he texted me that he's a commuter. He texted me that his inbound flight got diverted.
Wow. Okay.
So it's gonna be there a bit late. So probably like 2.5 hours after he shows up. So then I'm new now. I'm talking to the flight attendants. I'm talking to the gate agent. I'm talking to the dispatcher. I'm talking to so these aren't stuff that they put on you in training.
Yeah.
Because I'm training you're training to fly the aircraft. You're not really a captain is more responsible. And you learn those stuff while on the line. Yeah. So this is happening on my first day. I'm like, well, but I said having a background of a field, like I kind of know how
the ground operations
it works.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm keeping everyone in the loop of what's going on. Then he texted me like, hey, I just landed. It's gonna take probably X amount of time for it. And what gate he's going to. I realized what gate he's going to, and I realized what gate we are at.
Yeah.
So I went up to the gate agent and I'm like, hey, I think we should start boarding the aircraft.
Wow.
She said, okay, fine. So she boarded.
Yeah.
When he got there to an aircraft already set up. Aircraft is loaded with passengers. He just had to put in his bag, do his flows, get himself set up, and we're ready to push back. She was trying to save us some time. Once you push back now, there was a malfunction with the brake with the brake.
Okay.
So we keep getting a message. So we had to stop and wait for mechanic, and then that took probably another hour.
Wow.
So now we're probably like
3 hours.
Probably like 4 hours.
3-4 hours.
3.5 hours late. Now we went to where we're going now. Now we're already this is our first leg of the day, so we're already behind. We're delayed for the rest of the
trips.
We'll get to where we're going, and then we're like, all right, we finish the day off way late. So now we're pushing minimum rest. What was going to be a nice long layover turned into minimum rest.
Yeah.
We got up the next morning. We were in an outstation. Outstation is basically like there's no spare aircraft. There's not a mechanic on the ground.
You on the plane.
We're at yep. So we got a new aircraft now because they rotated aircraft. So we got a new aircraft now, and that one had a flight control disagreement. But at that point, the aircraft you can't do much about the aircraft until a mechanic. There's enough items that we can call and try to get it different over for somewhere.
It's have to have a mechanic there.
You have to have a mechanic on board. So now we're at this outstation. They're saying, hey, it's gonna take 4 hours for a mechanic to get there. So we sit there, 4 hours pass.
No mechanic.
So eventually, now the people are out there getting ride. Eventually, the mechanic came, looked at it, we got it sorted out. Now we load it up. So that's probably gonna getting everything going. It's probably gonna take us like 45 minutes to get everything going. So now we load it up with pushback. We get to the runway. Then we got center told us that we had to hold because the airport that we're going went into a 2.5 hour ground stop for weather.
Okay.
So now we're stuck another 2.5 hours on the ground.
Yeah.
So So and then the captain's like, I promise you, this isn't what it's like. It's gonna be. Eventually we got to, we 2.5 hours we got to leave. We had to cancel one of the second day because at that point we were not gonna be legal to fly anymore.
Okay.
For the day. We got there. Next day now we're starting again. Me and the captain get to the van. There's no flight. There's no flight attendant. both call up fatigue. They're like, they're
Mm-hmm.
tired. They're not gonna do. They can't go
Yeah.
anymore. So now we're stuck again, waiting for the company to
Replacement
bring
crew.
in Falcon. So that was my first worship. Everything after that has been smooth sailing.
Nice.
It's a pretty fun, relaxing, and enjoying career
Nice.
path.
Nice. Well, based on listening to your story so far, I mean it's pretty interesting. You have had a little bit of fortune on your side. A lot of it you had to work your ass off to get to where you are, especially with studying in school and managing your time and facing the different challenges in dealing with different personalities. With when you were a flight instructor, dealing with the Saudi Arabians and the different nationalities and the personalities and the culture differences and all of that. And then getting into the airline and it itself, of course, based on what you're saying, had its own challenges. But for as we started the live, we mentioned that you are a 26-year-old, so you're still pretty young. You haven't quite hit the
Yeah.
30-year-old age group as yet. And I know there are a lot of other young persons out there who are watching who pretty much would love to get to where you are now. If you were to give them a piece of advice or different pieces of advice, what do you think those would be to those who are watching and I would say, hey, one day I'd love to be young and I'd love to be a pilot just like Chad. I'd love to get to the airlines. I'd love to have a similar opportunity. What advice would you give to them?
I'd probably say just believe in yourself. Like if you want something, just do as much as you can to go after it. Like we live in one life, and then you can make it the way you want it to be. Like it's gonna take sacrifice, it's gonna take time, it's gonna take effort, but it's not gonna be easy. There's gonna
Absolutely.
be some very low days where you're just not
Yeah.
encouraged to do anything. You're demotivated. You're like just out of it.
Yeah.
But what I personally do is, so I have a book where I write what I want to
Okay.
achieve. Long term goals, short term
Sure.
goals. And there will be probably the slightest things, like the slightest things. And they're not only things that are like materialistic or things that I can physically see. They probably be like a personal trait that I want to
Sure.
change. So I'll write those down. Like, hey, I want to achieve this. I want to achieve that. I want to achieve that. And then I'll go back time to time and I'll tick them out and say, hey, all right, so I did this. I did this. That kind of keeps me to feel
Sure.
accountability, because there's being able to tick it off feels good. It feels like, hey, I really stayed steadfast
Sure.
and did this. Um, um, I would say not to be selfish in your aspirations, because I feel like that's a struggle that Caribbean people have, where we have this Caribbean environment mentality, as they would call it. Like we view each other as a
Competitor. Yeah.
competition, when I'm telling you when I came to FIT, um, I've seen other cultures that promote and help each other. Like they really keep in each other in
Sure.
contact. Like especially if, using the Saudi Arabians, for example. If a Saudi Arabian student is taking a check ride, once you finish that check ride, nearly the training center is full. They're all there to
Oh yeah.
train him on. If he
Nice.
does a pass, they're still there to support him. They're really like a
Nice.
community, and that's,
Yeah.
if you can find that, that's pretty good to help you keep accountable and
Sure.
to keep pushing, because there's people looking on with an expectation and want to see you achieve as much as you want to achieve. And I would say, take advice with salt and grain. Don't just take it as black and white. Take it, understand it, and try to apply it to your situation.
Sure.
For example, I look up to Justin very much. I would ask Justin everything. I would ask Justin everything when Justin was here.
Sure.
But my Justin has something way above me. Justin is a people
Yes.
person. Justin
Yeah, yeah,
presence alone will attract people
yeah.
to
That's his personality.
communicate, to
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
to. That's just
yeah,
his personality. I don't have that.
yeah.
So what might work for Justin might not work for me. But if I can take some of his
Sure.
principles and try to apply it to my personality, my circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
and tweak it to see how it can work for me, then I'll be successful. Not saying, hey,
Absolutely.
what he says is gonna be the blueprint for how I'm gonna achieve it, but
Sure.
understanding where it's coming from and how can I tailor it
Sure.
to my
Yeah.
needs.
Yeah.
So that would
Yeah.
probably be
I
one of
agree.
my advice. And just don't doubt yourself. Just don't doubt yourself. Even if
Yeah.
you fail, try again. Let's try again.
Yeah.
I failed one of my orals in a check ride.
Check right. Yeah.
I failed one of my orals. I wasn't fully prepared.
Sure.
And what did I take from it? What happened was I didn't learn a aspect of a topic
Okay.
when I was taking my multi commercial.
Sure.
So when I got there, I wasn't sure. So the
Mhm.
examiner just could not pass me like, hey, we need to test this subject area,
Yeah.
so you have to go back and learn it.
Okay.
I didn't display that on the instructor like, hey, you didn't teach me this. No, 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 no.
Sure.
I tried to say, it's my career, it's my life. How can I not make this happen
Mm-hmm.
again? So what I would do going in the future, I would focus more on my syllabus to make sure that I am learning everything that I need to learn,
Sure.
because this instructor or whoever is also human. You don't know what's going on in their life. You don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. They're not perfect. They might miss something. But if you keep yourself accountable also, then it's just only going to benefit you in the long run. And then help people. You don't know how much helping people is helping yourself,
You as
because
well. Yeah.
when you're teaching someone, or you have to have a certain level of understanding to be able to translate that information to someone.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're teaching someone or showing someone to do something, you're basically motivating yourself without saying, because you don't want someone to come and ask you about something you don't know. You don't
True.
know what to tell
Mm-hmm.
them. And even if you don't know what to tell them, try and help them to find someone that can tell them, or a source that they can
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
answer. So that's probably my advice.
Nice, nice. And if I am to add to that, I would say based on your story, some of the things that helped you as well is having the right people around you, to help push you through, help you deal with certain challenges along the journey as well. You mentioned your instructor, you mentioned Justin, who you speak highly of. It's very important if you can to recognize the value of certain people around you. And as I said, it helped you to keep accountable. They held you accountable. They also saw your deficiencies and kind of fill the gap and help to push you forward. To help you achieve your goals. And then, as I said, learn to network, because when you got to the higher level now of getting into the airline, you even though you're an introvert, you had to learn to adjust and network with your classmates who both
Yeah.
got through, studying the flows of the aircraft and, doing these different types of things. So, having or learning to network is very valuable. It's valuable, and it helps. But nevertheless, I mean, anyone who would probably look on your Instagram page would see that, oh yeah, Chad went to Meadowbrook High School. Chad went to FIT, very expensive school. Chad was a flight instructor. Chad has, this amount of experience and these hours. I know Chad is working with the airline. But as we are getting to know the full story, again, it was a lot of hard work. It was a
Yeah.
lot of hard work. It's a lot of dedication, a lot of commitment to
Yeah.
see it through, especially when it got challenging. It wasn't easy because we don't know Chad to have a bag of money put on and the parents are spending out of the bag as child needs. That was never the case because you have your student loan to eventually pay off in a number of years, over many years. So it's never it's not easy. and as I've always told persons, everybody has a different story. And you are young and you have accomplished a lot, but we still see that it's not easy. It was never easy. You know, there were different challenges that you had to go through. You know, you had to wait out at least 2 years while you were in Jamaica. Then even when you went to the United States, you had to wait again because of COVID. You had to wait again because, well, you know, it was no fault of yours. You know, you were advancing quickly, and the money wasn't coming as quickly as you were moving. So you had to wait again, you know, 6 months, as you said. But you had the commitment and you had the focus. You even broke it down to pen and paper where you wrote down your goals and you ticked it off. And as you said, you mentioned your goals weren't some big, oh, I want to have a Range Rover by 2021. It was, hey, maybe I need to add this to my personality. You know, I need to learn to network more. I need to, you know, be prepared so I don't fail another oral check ride and you know, or check ride in itself. You know, you don't do certain things, so you had to adjust. But what is commendable is that based on your age, you were able to do that in a short time span. For Americans born in America who have been exposed to aviation from an early age, they are at an advantage, I would say, because they have the resources, the facilities, and all of that stuff, and the benefits to them.
The
And then they have the guidance, right? But you, as a Jamaican born man, you never, based on the story, intended on going to the United States. You were fine with going to UAE. You were fine with going into pharmaceuticals. That was your immediate goal. But then you, in your youth, transitioned to the United States. You had your support system in terms of your family who pushed you, who took the risk with you, and then you did your part, went to the United States as a Jamaican. You did your research, figured yourself out, and now at 26, you are in the right seat of an Embraer, flying what, 100 passengers almost every day, making the most of each opportunity that you have gotten. And to do that at 26 is very commendable. I am almost 30. I'm 29.
Thank you.
And I still have not gotten there yet. Of course, Jamaica has its many challenges when it comes down to aviation. But as I said, it's very commendable that you have gone to the United States and have maximized every single opportunity I've gotten to get where you are now. You know, in Embraer, flying at different flight levels, different destinations, you know, just basically doing what you intended to do from that very day at Meadowbrook when you say you had joined the club and, you know, fascinated with the flight simulators and things that we were doing, till now actually doing it, you know. And that's one of the purposes of the club, is to help transition persons from an enthusiast to the actual aviation professional, which you are now. So that's pretty good. What I want to do though, Chad, is to, for those of you who are listening, if you have any questions for Chad, to put them in the chat so we can get him to answer those questions that you might have. Any questions you can put in the chat, or any comments rather. As well, I see somebody commenting to say congratulations again, Chad. So yeah, guys, if you have any questions or any comments for Chad, you can put them in the chat. Where are you based now, Chad? In the meanwhile?
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah.
Let's go. But what I would say though is,
go ahead.
What I would say though is, don't be afraid to take risks, but take them at your own leisure.
Yeah.
Getting a student loan was probably the biggest risk I ever taken, because it's a financial obligation that I'm gonna have to pay back in.
Sure.
So knowing that, I'm gonna stay focused and work to make sure that I can do this. And then don't put a time limit on yourself.
Sure.
Don't put that time limit on yourself. Even though we retired at 65. I had classmates that were 55 that did a whole career before.
Yeah.
I had classmates that were probably like in their
Yeah.
high 30s that had a
Started
whole
late.
career
Yeah.
before. You're like, hey, I did this for X amount of years because I wanted to fund my flight. I wasn't comfortable with a student loan, so to
Yeah.
say. So I did a different career prior so I could save to fund my flight.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
don't put a limit on yourself. I'm just trying to see what works with. There's people that go the military background.
Mhm.
So see what works for you and what you can get.
Yeah, basically the different options that are out there. Yeah. And I know for many Jamaicans, there are many Jamaicans who want to become pilots and different aviation professionals. But as Chad said, you know, don't put a limit on yourself. Don't say because you're 30 then it doesn't make sense. As he said, there are different persons who had different careers before they got into aviation, and though he is young in his class, he also had persons who were, you know, way older than he was. Um, so yeah, somebody says, what about turbulence and wingtip vortices? Learning these terms is one thing, but how was it when you experienced it?
Um, so experiencing it is a little different. At this level where we have protocols that we have to follow company wise. We have more advanced um tools on our AFB that we can use to like predict them. But I'll say the first one is it's pretty rocky, but doing it every day. You really it gets it gets normal. Like for example, in flight training, you know that hey, if it's a little too windy or it's too turbulent, you're gonna cancel or whatever. Now the company says you go, you're going. That's just how it is. They're paying you to get these people from
Point A to
point
point
A
B.
to point B.
Yeah.
The worst one for me was I was going from Louisville to Minneapolis, and there was a thunderstorm in Louisville, so it was heavy turbulence getting out of there.
Yeah.
It was rocking like
Yeah.
rocking. Um, but then knowing that hey, you're responsible for this aircraft. You're gonna do what you can to stay composed, to get it done. Try and see what you can do to fly in smoother air. What to see hey you're gonna check your airspeed to say I can fly faster. Probably can do this. Probably can fly slower to get up to altitude.
Yeah.
Whatever. See
Works.
what's there. And then by the time we got to Minneapolis, it was a snowstorm came in, and then the the captain had to fly the aircraft down to Cat 2 minimums
Wow.
to popping up right above the ground, which is pretty new to me training in Florida where there's no snow. But as I said, practice come perfect is a very cliche statement, but it is as real as it gets. The more you do something, the more second nature becomes. The more you advance in it.
Sure.
And then you have to take pride in your skill set to want to be better for yourself so that you can be better for the company and the whole.
Sure. Sure. All right. Somebody else says, do you have any mentors? If so, how has their insight benefited you? Yeah, I know you definitely have a handful of mentors, but if you want, you
Yeah.
can reiterate how their insight has benefited you.
So as I said, it's just taking their word of wisdom, their experience, and just trying to apply it to my situation and myself to see how I can achieve what I'm set out to with the words that they have to give with. It can it can be elaborate words as teaching me a topic to just sending me home. There was one time I had a stage check and there was this party, and I say, oh, let me just go a little bit to chill out.
Yeah.
And then my one of the examiners was passing by, and he saw me, and all he said was, "Go home." That's not advice in itself. That's not advice in itself.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I should probably just go on for it.
Yeah.
Because if this person is looking out for me, I should probably look out for my own interests also.
True. Okay. All right. So somebody else says, congratulations on your journey. With your determination and courage, I can see you occupying the left seat any day now. My son also went to Meadowbrook High School. All right. Big up Meadowbrook High School. Thank you for that comment. Somebody else says, what's the best and worst airport you ever landed in?
The worst is gonna be mine. I got stuck there for 4 days.
Which airport was that?
Minot.
Minot. Which state is that?
In North Dakota. I got stuck there for 4 days. So we went, flew to Minneapolis, broke out, got there, and then we came back in the morning to leave. But then it was not so heavy. We were at some point it was legal for us to take off, but it's a small airport that didn't have the facility that could remove the snow as fast as it was piling.
Okay.
So right there, we had to cancel, go back to the airport, go back to the hotel.
Yeah.
This was a 4-day trip, and this was my last day. So I spent an extra 4 days on the road.
Yeah.
stuck in, and now with the snowstorm, it's not only affecting the airport, it's affecting the community around it. So like places were closed, restaurants are closed.
Wow.
I'm stuck in this airport. I was eating, drinking water and hot pockets from the airport. That was on my wrist. Yeah.
Wow.
So the best airport, I'd probably say LAX, because
Okay.
I get to see some the sightseeing over the West Coast is pretty nice, and then the LA spotters where you can actually see yourself landing or taking off, because there's a live stream on YouTube. But best terminal, I'm not gonna be biased. Minneapolis is the best terminal. It has the best restaurants.
And I've actually went to the Minneapolis airport before. It's very vague. I don't remember the features of the airport, but I've been there. I think I flew with them, so I went for maybe like a week in Minneapolis and all of that. But
and then there's America's biggest mall,
like Mall of America, biggest mall in North America. I've been there too.
It's
pretty nice. Yeah. Okay, so how did you get a job in America as a Jamaican? So that's, I guess, the OPT question.
Yeah. So as you said, if it's key to note now, which is probably be more helpful for Americans. But if you're a Jamaican and there's a lot of Jamaicans that have a residency to either parents or whatever. But like if you're a Jamaican enthusiast and you have your residency, it's key to know that the airlines now are dropping some of their requirements. So you don't need a degree, as basically what I'm saying. You can get your flight license and go to the airlines. But if you're a pure breed Jamaican like myself, it's good if you have a degree, because that degree is going to do two things for you. It's going to give you the ability to get that work permit from your school, which is limited. It's a 3-year work permit. But if you do another degree, you get another 3 years. So say you do undergrad, you get your 3 years. While working at 3 years, say you do master's part-time online, whatever, and then you complete that, you can go again for another set of 3 years. While in school, there's something called CPT, where you can probably start working as a flight instructor while in school. And then when you finish that, then you can start your OPT. So there's the degree plays a good role. And then with the degree, if you had a 141 school, your time requirements to go to the airline is lower.
Yeah.
So normal people, a normal ATP requires is like 1,500. Now me, I went to the airline with 1,000 hours, and then you can apply early. You can apply from once you get like 550 hours, you can apply, and then you can do your interview, and then just keep flying straight in. So by the time you get to your hours, you can leave. You can leave at that point.
Yeah.
So just it plays even though the requirement is dropping, it plays a role to help us internationals at least.
Sure. All right. Somebody says, how applicable was what you learned as a student in Jamaica to your training as a pilot?
So in Jamaica, as I said, I did most of the sciences because, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't know I was going to get to this point financially, so I was just gonna do pharmacy.
Yeah.
So I did most of the sciences. I did science, chemistry. I was really good in chemistry. So I would say 50-50 there, but as I said, the educational level in the Caribbean is way higher than it is in America. I did not have to do a single math class in college just because Trent from my credit. My advisor said, "Hey, the fact that you did the first year at Cape, if you were gonna be an engineer, you would not have to take another math class in college."
Okay.
That's how high it was. So that they may have not been applicable, but they really helped me in saving time, which helped me to finish college earlier.
Okay, so they helped you to finish time in college, but not necessarily aided you as a pilot per se. I mean, as a pilot, of course, you need to do.
And I will say, and that's probably something I would, if someone asked me, hey, what would you change in your journey? I would probably say my degree, because I did aviation management and aeronautical science. Okay. The reason I say I would change my degree, I learned a lot in flight training, because in my flight training we had ground school, we had sims, we had actual flying. Feel like, and then once you get to the airline, you're gonna do months of ground school sim flying. Once you get onto the line, you're still learning. Yeah. You're still learning. You have your quarterly CPTs, you have your yearly training, you're learning from the captain beside you, you're experiencing it now. So the reason I would change my degree is you don't necessarily need an aviation degree to go to the airline. You can do whatever degree and
I agree.
So I personally would do, and it's good to have a degree because you can you can lose a medical, you can't fly. You have something to fall back on. So I would personally probably do like computer science and because we see how programming is.
Yeah, technology.
A big thing.
Absolutely.
And programming is very mobile. So if I could have done computer science flight, I could have probably see if I could get another job where I could probably program when I get to my airport, while I get to the hotel after flight, which is 2 income at that point.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Somebody says, I would love to pursue a bachelor in physics. Would that be more useful in aviation? I mean, I guess it's up to what you want to do.
Yeah.
So you could be a teacher, for argument's sake, and still learn to fly. You could, have a degree in nursing if there is such a thing.
I fly with captains that were carpenters before. I fly with captains that were pastors before.
That's
what you want.
Yeah, pretty much.
They will give you sufficient training to be an efficient professional pilot.
Yeah, and it's one thing I always tell students, especially those who are choosing their subjects. If you read certain books and pamphlets or whatever, they'll say, "Oh, to be a pilot, you need to study geography, you need to study physics, you need to do A, B, C, and D," which is not true. I always tell students, select the subjects that you're strongest in. If you have a math brain, do math related subjects. Do the physics, do the chemistry, these things that you can manage. If not, if you're not good in math, you're good in English, do the English related subjects, the literature, the social studies, these type of things, But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
get the subjects. If you realize a lot of people who fly, who love to fly, loves to do other things as well. So as Chad said, he had an interest in something else, then he could have pursued computer science. I like business, so I would pursue business in addition to flying. Things along that line. Do what you
The
see.
aviation degree, doing an aviation degree, it makes a degree a bit easier because you're learning the same thing on campus. You're learning it at the flight
Pretty
line.
much, yeah.
So it's just it gets a bit repetitive. So
Yeah.
it makes it a bit easier because you're hearing it over and over. I have friends that did air. My roommate in college, he did aerospace and flight. Now he's an engineer for Embraer and a flight instructor, so he can
Nice.
possibly go to the airline soon
Nice.
if he chooses.
Yeah. Nice. Somebody sent a link. I think that's to a job with Etihad. Anyway, somebody else sent. Just join the chat. But would you advise pilots to go the 141 or 61 path versus going to a college and paying extra money for tuition?
As I said earlier, that's gonna be tailored to your situation. Part 61 allows you to
Do it at your pace.
more so by your pace.
Yeah.
Part 141 is more structured.
A structured
As I was
program.
mentioning earlier, if you're doing part 61 as a pure beat Caribbean person, international person, so I'm not gonna say Caribbean, international, wherever you're coming from, you do part 61, you're most likely gonna get that M visa. Once you finish
You have to go
commercial
back home.
training, it's back home.
Yeah.
So there's no room for expansion after that. If you have an American residency and you want to do part 61 at your pace where you can have a next job or knock out everything in a year, then that's is tailored to your situation. Or that's what I would say.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, the part 141 is where you go through a structured program with a school, right? It's an FAA regulation or whatever they call it. And they label it as 141 and part 61. So 141 means you go through a structured program with a school, and the school would say, hey, between January to March you will get this, and then April to so on you get this, and it's just a structured program. The 61 is you go at your own pace. So you go to the school and say, hey, I'd love to become a pilot, but I'm working, I only have access to this amount of funds, I can only fly on weekends, that type of thing. So you do it on your own pace, all right? And then doing that versus going to college, as Chad was saying, it's really up to you. And it depends on what your goals are. And if you are, as I said, an international student, not necessarily a Jamaican, but if you see yourself or wanting to work in the US or for a certain caliber airline, then it may be better for you to go to university, get a degree in addition to having the pilot's license. It makes you more marketable and makes you more eligible for certain programs that are offered to international
and then
people.
What I have now is the degree can help there. America has something called the national interest waiver, where the higher level degree you have, the more marketable you are, as Sam said. So say for example you went and you do a master's, you can get a lawyer and approach the court and try and get your own work permit. Not so you can get a work visa at that point, like an HB1. So you can it costs a little bit for the lawyer fee, but that's another route. That's a route. People I've seen people. I've seen people who've done that, and they're moving to that major airline now because they have an actual work visa now.
Yeah.
So they can take their skill set to wherever they desire at that point.
Yeah. Somebody says, wish Jamaica would secure more funding for aviation. That's true. I would too.
That's
In
true. That's
Jamaica
true.
right
That's
now,
true.
the commercial aspect of aviation is growing, where the number of airlines coming in, the amount of flights coming into Jamaica is growing. But in terms of the general aviation growth that would fuel, persons like yourselves who want to learn how to fly and start out, a small job working up to the airline, it's very minimal to
Yeah,
non-existent at this point,
that's true. That's true.
unfortunately. So
That's true.
a lot of Jamaicans
And
have
then
to venture overseas.
and then with those fundings, they're typically like a bonding system. Like, hey, we'll fund your education, but you have to work for us for X
Yeah,
amount of years. If not, you have to
the
pay us back
money
X amount
invested.
of money. Yep.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
basically how that works.
yeah. Somebody was asking, so associate's degree can count as well?
As I say, if you have a residency, you do not need a degree to be in the seat that I am in right now.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. Hi, Daniel. I see that you joined. Just bigging up Daniel. I know Richie should be here and some other aviation professionals. Daniel is a yard girl as well. She works with an airline in the United States, um, as cabin crew, but I know she loves flying as well. Richie Cunningham as well was one of the first persons who did the live. He's in Saudi Arabia, I think it is. I don't remember, with
Yeah.
Flyer Deal flying the
Yeah.
A320s, a captain on the A320. Yeah, so all right.
Yeah.
Well, Chad,
So I would say once you guys get into the position, just don't be afraid to like put out your application, because you never know. Let's put your application. Once I've got my commercial license, I saw that cabin airline and I opened. I put them application, but the time I put them application, there was the likes of Justin, which he was my instructor.
point,
So
yeah.
if they took me over instructor, something else. So don't be afraid to like
Yeah,
put your application. It's not gonna hurt. The most they can do is
yeah.
reject you. That's the most they can do.
And if that happens, you just try again, somewhere else, or if
Yes,
another
try again.
opportunity comes up. Because Justin himself,
Yeah.
when he came back to Jamaica, he got in the right seat of the 737 with Caribbean Airlines.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
COVID had hit and stuff, but he was still flying every now and again. So you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, Chad, we're about an hour and a half into the session. So I'm just going to wrap it up and let you go. But before I do, just thanking you again for making the time. I know I planned this weeks in advance, of course, because you're busy flying and doing your thing, and we have to do it on a day convenient to you. So thank you for making the time. Thank you for sharing your story. Even though you tell me so you're shy and all of that, but nevertheless, appreciate you coming out and sharing the story with everybody. And as usual, I wish you all the best. Looking forward to your transition into the left seat, and of course,
Yeah.
to bigger machines flying faster, higher, farther than you are now. So I wish you all the best. And thanks to everybody who joined as well. I know a lot of people didn't get to join, but it will be available on the page for you to share with others and also review again. So, Chad, big up as usual. Stay safe out there, and
Yep.
we'll talk again. All right.
Yeah, man. Thanks again. And I was coming in the work you've been doing in Jamaica.
Appreciate it.
You really expanded the Jamaican aviation as it is. And that's really coming up. And I hope to see your dream get to the point you want it to be in the long run. I know you're really proud of how it is right now, but I hope that you get to the point where you can have multiple flight schools in Jamaica where we don't have to be or aviation industry gets so big that we don't have to be worrying about trying to get to a different state to pursue our dream.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. All right,
No problem.
everyone. Take care. See you guys for the next live, whenever that is. We'll let you know when. All right.